Today, we're going to talk about collaboration and how enterprise teams can work together more efficiently in Webflow. We're going to see all the great collaboration features that our team has shipped this year, challenges we see customers face as they scale, a demo of what their lives could be like on Webflow, and if we have time, we'll dive into a sneak peek of what our teams are cooking up in the future. So my name is Derek Fang. My pronouns are he, him. It's really nice to meet y'all. I'm a senior solutions engineer here at Webflow. I'll also introduce Mary. Mary's joining us virtually today, but she is a senior product designer on the collaboration team, and she helped design all the content that you're going to see today, and this presentation wouldn't have happened without her. Finally, I want to give a huge shout out to the dozens of engineers, designers, and product managers that helped ship the features that we're going to see today. I'm on stage representing a huge amount of work from so many different people, and they were all extremely critical to get us here to WebflowConf today. Yes. Thank you, yeah. Okay, let's start by recapping some of the most amazing features that the team has shipped in a very busy 2024. As part of our enterprise summer release, our team shipped page building. And I can't tell you how many times customers have asked me if there was a way for marketers to build with only components in predetermined spots, and now there is. So page building allows designers to designate specific slots where marketers can drop in components and alter content. It simplifies the building experience for folks who only want to build with pre-approved components and makes it easier for people to follow design guidelines. Also part of our enterprise summer release, approvals. Approvals are a personal favorite of mine. They allow for junior designers to request feedback and sign off on designs before merging their branch with the main site. This ensures everyone gets to give feedback and is on the same page before the branch is merged. Workspace libraries. So for our customers that manage multiple sites in Webflow, our team shipped workspace libraries. Libraries allow you to share variables and components from one site to another, and this allows you to reuse content rather than rebuilding it, and helps you maintain brand consistency as you scale and continuously release new sites. Finally, site-specific access, which allows for more control over what sites your teams have access to. And this is really great for teams that manage sensitive sites or maybe have multiple teams that manage multiple different sites. And there was actually so much more that we wanted to include, but here are 4 other rapid-fire collaboration features that I wanted to include today. Static page templates helps people save time when they're creating net new pages. Merge summaries enable transparency over what changes were made before merging a branch. You can now create pages as a page branch and also edit components as a page branch. And finally, people with the can edit rule can leverage machine translation when they're localizing their pages. So that was obviously a lot. But our product engineering and design teams have been very hard at work, so can we give them another huge round of applause? Sweet. All right, let's shift gears a little bit to talk about how enterprise teams are scaling and what challenges that they're facing. Historically at Webflow, we've mostly been helping customers build one site. However, as we scale and grow and serve larger and larger customers, we've seen the increasing need to support customers that have larger teams, multiple sites, and collaboration with multiple stakeholders that all contribute to those sites. So here at Webflow, we're thinking about this balancing act between scale and safety. How do we help people build more sites with more pages more quickly, while at the same time balancing the need for governance and brand consistency? So we put together some common themes that we've been seeing from our scaling customers. First, they need to balance brand consistency with flexibility. Larger customers run into this dilemma where design and dev resources are limited, but the amount of ideas for new pages are unlimited. So the question is, how do we enable anyone to build a page that is not only on brand, but has enough flexibility to adapt to any scenario? Second, teams are facing sky-high expectations. They need to build more content, loop in more stakeholders with tighter timelines. So they need to scale their processes without compromising on efficiency. Third, de-risking publishing. As teams grow, the people who are publishing are no longer the people who are making changes directly to the site. This has huge risk implications for brands, as the website is usually one of the first touch points that customers experience. So Webflow needs to provide transparency into what is being published so we can turn a high-risk event into something that people don't even have to worry about. Finally, democratizing data. So many of the designers and page builders that I talk to are designing in the dark. They generally don't get direct access to data. They usually get it secondhand from someone else that they collaborate with, so they can't play with it or manipulate it themselves. And they definitely don't get to see how their designs are actually performing when they're actually designing, which seems a little bit funny. So let's take a look at how Webflow is going to address each of those needs of our growing enterprise customers. To do that, I want to introduce Pete. Pete is the CEO of a company called Astral Fund, a fast-growing fintech company. And Astral Fund is about to launch a brand new credit card, which is super exciting. The challenge is, Pete is extremely ambitious. The team only has 4 weeks to get a brand new site up and running before the product launches. So let's meet the 4 heroes that are going to get this site live. There's Paul, the lead designer at Astral Fund. Paul's job is basically to be the editor-in-chief of the website. He needs to make sure that everything that gets published is on brand, and he also manages the underlying design system. Next up, there's Paggy. Paggy's the junior designer on the team. Paggy's job is to collaborate with whoever needs to build a new page and update existing pages whenever changes need to be made. There's Sam, the growth marketer. Sam is all about making sure the site is converting. Her job is to make sure that the site is generating pipeline for the sales team to later close. And last, but certainly not least, there's Michael. Michael is part of the agency that works with Astral Fund to make sure that everyone is able to do their jobs efficiently and help with anything that might come up. And if we talk to the Astral Fund team in charge of the website launch, they're focused on 3 main business objectives. They want to go to market faster. So right now on their legacy system, it takes them weeks to even get a page up and running. They want to improve collaboration. All their different stakeholders right now work in silos. This leads to wasted time and unready content being published. Finally, they want to scale their brand consistently. They want to be able to create a design system that scales with their team and encourages people to reuse content whenever possible instead of recreating content from scratch. The idea is that this will lead to efficiency and also consistency. So in this demo, we're going to take a look at what their lives are going to look like and how they're going to meet their tight deadlines with Webflow. We'll see the Astral Fund team set up their reusable but flexible design system. We'll see how they bring together multiple stakeholders in an efficient and collaborative and safe way. We'll see how they make their publishing transparent and safe. And finally, we're going to see how everyone at Astral Fund is going to get access to data and be empowered to make data-driven decisions. So we're going to start our story with the Astral Fund team building out their design system. We start the story with Paul and Michael. They start off by collaborating to build out a set of reusable components and variables for Astral Fund. These components can be used for multiple sites in their workspace. So as the team builds out this new site, they can leverage these fundamental building blocks to build quickly. They also set up page templates to make it easy for anyone to build, so anyone can help contribute to the launch. One of those people is Sam. So Sam gets in on the action and starts building out pages herself. Because Paul and Michael have already set up the design system, she can easily drag components into slots, edit text and images, and focus on content instead of design. No matter what changes she makes, everything will be on brand and adhere to Paul and Michael's amazing design system. From there, Sam was able to take that page that she just made and tailor it for the entire world. She can customize the content and styles for each locale that Astral Fund operates in. And she can make sure that everything that she shows on the page is relevant for anyone in the world who might show up. So, the Astral Fund team was able to set up a design system and empower anyone to build, while also maintaining the flexibility needed for a fast-moving company. Now that we have the underlying design system set up, let's take a look at how the Astral Fund is collaborating together. Paul first loops in Paggy to tweak a product page on the new site. Paul invites Paggy to this site as a designer that needs approval. That way, Paul can review all of Paggy's work before it goes live. Paggy also only gets access to this site without getting access to the other Astral Fund sites. This is important because we want Paggy to be able to do her job, but nothing more than that. Now that Paggy has access, she can open up a new branch and start redesigning that product page. While she's continuing to work on her branch, the others can continue to work on their changes so Paggy doesn't slow them down. Everyone can be working simultaneously and getting the site ready for the upcoming launch. Then, after her design is finished, Paggy requests approval from Paul, Michael, and Sam to get their feedback and sign-off before she merges this branch. Paggy was able to get enough access to do her job, but nothing more than that. And Paul was able to make sure that he would still have to approve her designs. So the designs are nearly done, and the launch day is right around the corner. Let's see how the team prepares to publish and makes it a smooth process. So we pick our story back up with the entire team. Paul, Michael, Sam, they can all review the approval request Paggy made and leave feedback. Everyone can leave feedback in context, and Michael even notices something that went wrong in the merge summary, so he flags it in his comment. After everyone reviews and leaves feedback, the branch is approved and ready to be merged. Now that Paggy has everyone's feedback and thumbs up, she resolves any outstanding comments, reviews the merge summary, and gives the branch one final look before merging the branch. The launch is now days away, so we're really coming up on it. It's time for the final review. Paul runs through all the changes that have been made to the entire site in the site activity log and makes sure that the site is ready to launch. After this final review, Paul publishes to staging, to QA, and then publishes to production. The site is now live and even ahead of Pete's very ambitious schedule. So even with multiple people collaborating and making updates, there was still accountability and transparency throughout the whole process. Everyone was able to give feedback on new changes. Paul was able to do his final review in one central place. Now, normally this is where the story would end. The site is launched, everything went smoothly, but we're actually going to continue the story to see how the team uses data to continue to fine-tune the site. Now that the dust from the launch has settled, Sam wants to increase the amount of conversions on the site. As she's looking at her analyzed dashboard, she notices that the engagement on the homepage actually is lower than other pages. So she loops in Paggy to investigate, and the two of them have some hypotheses. They ultimately decide to create a couple different variations of the hero component to see which one works better. And while Paggy is designing those variations, she can easily pull up data on how other pages are performing and take inspiration from the pages that are converting the best. It turns out one of those variations proves to be a hit. Visitors love it, they can't stop converting. And Paul even notices this uptick in performance and decides to take the changes that Paggy and Sam made and update that component across all of Astral Fund sites. So they were able actually to take what they learned from one experiment and quickly use it across all the sites they manage. And that's how we were able to build, launch, and iterate on a site with Webflow Enterprise. So let's recap what we've seen. If we go back to Astral Fund's initial 3 business objectives, we saw how the team was able to go to market faster by empowering anyone to build brand-consistent pages. We saw how the team was able to work more efficiently together by collaborating, sharing feedback back and forth in one tool. And we saw how the team was able to scale their brand in a consistent way. Webflow not only helped the Astral Fund team to launch their site ahead of schedule, but also streamlined the way that they work together. Okay. So now let's take some questions. We'll do a couple minutes of questions, and then from there on out, if we have time, we'll do a sneak peek of what's coming up for collaboration in Webflow.
Thanks for this presentation, Derek. I'm wondering, yesterday we saw a lot of the AI features launch. How do these kind of work into the enterprise workflows?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yesterday, a huge focus of the keynote was on the AI design assistant, the AI writing assistant. I think in this particular example, we saw a lot of designers working together with marketers and agencies. And I don't think it would be very bold for me to assume that everybody in this room or watching online has those level of resources. So I think for companies that maybe are a little bit more strapped for bandwidth, like using the AI design assistant to design a new component or a new section would speed up their workflows incredibly quickly. And same thing for the writing assistant, right? Not everybody has a content team. So you're able to get really, really serviceable content in a really quick way without the need to have a dedicated resource for all of that content. Great question.
Hi. Thank you so much. That was really helpful. Question about branching and merging the branches when they come together.
Mm-hmm.
If someone is working within the same, let's just say the same component for the sake of this conversation, is there a way of that there's priority, or can you see when you're merging them, who is editing the same component? Or if two people are collaborating or working on the same section or component, how does Webflow know which one to prioritize in the merge?
Yeah, and do you mind giving an example of what this actually looks like in your day-to-day?
I am not personally using this. I'm just kind of learning about it in the presentation. So I'm unfamiliar with the branches in a general sense, and so I'm just looking to get more information on that.
Cool. Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, anytime you merge a branch, if there are conflicts with classes or things like that, there'll be a little modal that pops up and it'll say hey, do you want to use the branch version of this class or the main site version of this class? And that's essentially how we mitigate merge conflicts. And I was actually talking to one of the PMs for the collaboration pillar at Webflow, and one of the interesting things that he said was that we're trying to take a lot of the best practices that a lot of DevOps processes have. Things like page branching is very inspired by Git. Same thing with merge summaries. But we're going to take those and kind of use them as inspiration and turn them into kind of a visual first context. So yeah, that merge summary modal that'll pop up, it's very much inspired from Git and that workflow that engineers are very used to.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, in your presentation, you showed an interesting workflow where somebody was looking at the log as they review. And in our experience, the log can have just a whole slew of unrecognizable information in it, like style changed or class changed.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way, or is there maybe any future update where you see that becoming a little bit more contextual and easy to understand, so that somebody that's not technical can just look at it and say, okay, I understand exactly what was changed, or visually even understand how it was changed?
Yeah, are there any examples of things that you would want in the log or not in the log? The reason I ask is I know there are conversations at Webflow internally around revamping the site activity log. So just trying to gather some feedback for our product team here.
I mean, at the very least, and this is probably a very expensive thing, but having a screenshot of every change in some way or form, or being able to visually see the difference between and after.
Yeah, so almost rather than saying a style change, actually visually showing an example of that.
Yeah, and that's best for non-technical people.
Yeah. No, this is actually feedback that we hear a lot, at least for me on my customer calls. So really appreciate you sharing, and I'm happy to kind of file that with the product team. Yeah.
Hey man, great presentation. Yannick from Shadow Digital. With all of these new workflows rolling out, new roles, et cetera, is there also going to be more Webflow University content coming specifically to these roles that we could provide to clients that maybe goes into builder permissions or anything else like that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Yanni. So yeah, our education team, I mean, if you're at Webflow conference, chances are you've probably visited Webflow University, right? So yeah, our education team is really great, and I know there's a lot of upcoming content, not only on the governance side of Webflow that we just went over, but also documentation around optimize and analyze. So a lot of that will be coming in the future. Yeah, great question.
Hi. First of all, thank you. This is great. I don't know if I'm overlooking a feature or something like that, but do you have like reversions and tagging available for logs?
What do you mean by versions and tagging?
So kind of going off of what GitHub does, you could do a revert to a previous state. Or like
yeah.
tag for certain people to know.
Yeah, have you used Webflow's backups before?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's only with that one, not in the logs itself.
Yeah. So right now, Webflow takes backups of your site, every 10 minutes or so of use. Essentially, what we recommend customers to do is use those in conjunction with the site activity log. So right now they're separate, but I totally empathize with the idea of like, hey, it would be great if you could go to a specific point in the site activity log and then revert to a backup. But as of right now, they're separate, and we ask customers to kind of cross-reference the two lists. But that's actually a really great idea. Okay. All right. So we have some extra time left, so let's take a peek into the future and how you can expect collaboration in Webflow to evolve. What's coming up? First and foremost, again, this is a personal favorite of mine, custom roles. Right now, Webflow's out-of-the-box roles are great, and they cover the majority of use cases. But sometimes, you might need something that's very specific and custom to your particular team. That's why you'll soon be able to define custom roles for specific teammates that might not fit into an existing role. Next up, localization enhancements. We're going to bring new translation app partners to our marketplace to launch connections for people who have very specific translation workflows. You'll soon be able to bulk update content via the API, and we're soon going to support components, translating component data via API as well. AI Design Assistant, y'all saw this at the keynote before. I think it's super cool. If you've ever had a blank page and not known where to start, you'll soon be able to use AI to generate net new sections as a jumping off point. And then finally, CMS publishing improvements. Our team is working to improve the process of single item publishing. This will address syncing issues where people are prevented from publishing a single CMS item when the staging domain is out of sync with the production domain. And we're also going to introduce a new CMS item state where people can draft changes that will allow for safe editing of published items. Okay, that's all for me. If you have any other questions, please stop by the demo booth on the 4th floor. I'll be hanging out there and want to say hi to all of y'all. Otherwise, have a great Webflow Conf.